Hi everyone, I'm Susan Mulvihill. Welcome to my garden. Today I'm going to talk about growing figs in cold climates, and I also have a couple of tasks to do out in the landscape. I hope you'll join me. For my June 14th garden column, I wrote about growing figs. And the first thing I want to clarify is I live in eastern Washington State in Spokane, and it is USDA Hardiness Zone 5B. That means we have a short growing season and very cold winters. And I was thinking, you can't even grow figs in a climate like this, so I wasn't even going to try. Well, a few years ago I saw a gardening catalog and they were selling hardy figs, and I thought, okay, what's their version of hardy? And it said in zone 5 this would work. And I thought, I want to give that a try. So what we did is we ordered 2. This is a Chicago Hardy, and that is Violette de Bordeaux. And we initially planted them in a really sunny area of the garden, and they grew pretty well during each summer. But then what happened is during the winter, they would die back down to the roots. And the problem is, if I want to have figs, I need live branches. And if it keeps dying back to the ground, that's not going to give me any figs. So a year and a half ago, my husband and I were visiting a couple of large botanical gardens in England, and we saw a couple of signs that said figs really like to have their roots confined, either growing them in a pot or in some type of a pit, maybe next to a wall. And that's when we both said, wait a second, what if we planted them in pots and then moved them into our garage during the winter months? Maybe that would work and they wouldn't die back to the ground. So last spring, we dug them up, we put them in these large pots, grew them on this little patio all summer long. It gets a lot of sunlight, and watered them regularly. As a matter of fact, my husband even set up a little drip system so that they get watered regularly. And then once they drop their leaves in the fall, I moved them into the garage, and I made sure that I gave them a little water throughout the winter months. So when we moved them out after the danger of frost was past this spring, there was a little bit of new growth down near the base of the 2 figs, nothing on the branches, and I thought, well, that's okay. They're probably all right. And then the more I looked at them, nothing was sprouting, and I thought, oh man, this is going to be a problem because, again, you really need to have live branches in order to get figs. Well, the amazing thing that I just discovered is that these branches are very slow to leaf out in the spring. So I just left them alone. And you can see that this one, this is the Chicago Hardy, really is leafing out nicely on every single branch. This one, which is Violette de Bordeaux, is leafing out a little more slowly, but I feel very encouraged. When we potted them up, we used an organic potting soil, and then we've given them a little bit of fertilizer a couple times during the growing season, and that's pretty much it. So obviously I don't have anything to report as far as fruit on here yet, but I feel very encouraged, and I'm certainly going to follow up with you to let you know if this worked. This has been an amazing spring for our rhododendrons. They're growing on the north side of our house, and they need very little care except for a little bit of acidic fertilizer in the spring. That's pretty much it. But there is something that I always do when they finish blooming, and I wanted to talk about that today. This rhododendron was an earlier bloomer, and you can see the flowers are pretty much done. And I have to say, it's pretty unsightly having them looking like this, especially since this is the approach to our house. But one thing that I always do once they're finished blooming is I remove this old flower, and beneath it are where the new buds will form for next year. So to remove it, I grasp the old flower, not down to the leaves, and then I just bend it a little bit until it snaps off. And what will happen is that'll look a lot nicer, and it makes room for the new developing buds that will bloom next year. Now, my only complaint is that this is a very tedious job. I'm going to be honest with you. But what I decided to do this year is, as soon as each individual rhodie is finished blooming, I'm going to go ahead and take these old flower heads off. What I used to do is wait for everything to finish blooming and then took these flower heads off, and it took me forever. So I thought, well, if I whittle away at it slowly but surely, it won't be such an overwhelming task. Now, some of the flowers tend to be a little bit resinous, and so they get sticky. And so you might consider wearing a pair of gloves for this project, but this one is actually not sticky at all. Now, while we're on the subject of deadheading, our lilacs recently finished blooming, and this is the time that you deadhead them. It is so important that you do it now rather than waiting, because you might trim off what's going to be next year's blooms. And in case you're wondering about that water noise, I'm right next to the pond, so the waterfall is making its lovely splashy sounds. This is our pond, which is a delightful area of our landscape. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next week. Take care.